Hello investors and welcome back to Just Randy Stocks. Let's talk about Senseonics or SENS, this continuous glucose monitoring system that should be getting FDA approval any day now. It should have been weeks as of the last month with the last update that we got from the CEO. We had an update in December. We had an update in January. People have been waiting on this FDA approval for a long time. If you're not familiar with Senseonics, I'll leave you a link to a video that I've done on this previously. We're not going to go into a long explanation. I'm going to show you what I got pulled up. And then at the end of the video, I've got two value offers for you. But let's get straight into it. Before we do, though, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button, and let's not delay any further and let's get started. So macroeconomic indicators that could have impacts on share prices across the board. We do have companies that are beating earnings estimates, but this doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have an impact on the markets because investors still believe that there's a lot of volatility. Now, leading into tomorrow, we do have the jobs numbers that are supposed to come out. Well, this ADP report came out yesterday, and it showed that private sector positions lost 301 jobs, and they expected to add 207 jobs. So tomorrow we have the labor statistics report that's due, and Goldman Sachs expected a decline of 250,000 jobs, but you've got other reports that are predicting that they're going to add jobs. So people are split. I'm thinking that potentially we could lose jobs tomorrow. The CPI numbers coming back up, and then we've got the rate hikes in March from the Fed. So I expect to see continued volatility in the market. Now, Senseonics, if you look on LinkedIn, you could notice that there's a couple of jobs that they recently posted in the last week, probably adding to the continued momentum as more and more people hear that this play is coming up. So I would say this national director position of CGM sales and then remote medical sales device, you could see these positions starting to filter in, and these last couple of weeks are making people even more bullish on this play. Now volume was high, and I would say that the percent change was really good for this play today, but I do want to call out that there is a large amount, 20% is a very large amount of a float short on this position. So I would say be very careful because they are expecting for there to be a terrible earnings. Now, does this mean that there's going to be a squeeze? The only squeeze that is going to happen is going to be a momentum push and FDA approval because according to the borrow fee, it's really not that high. 10% is not that high. You typically want to see upwards of 90 to 100+%. And of course, this could rise, but I would say right now, there is not squeeze potential. There would just be momentum potential. Over this last week, you can see that the trend on the share price has just been green candlestick action all week long. I'm at 50% gain this week. Now, one thing that might have people bullish is we are starting to see these updates on the FDA website. When you go in, it said 131. So it's been almost the entire week. Thursdays, for some reason, seem to be a popular day for people to anticipate that there could be potential approval. But I believe approval is going to come before the markets open. So if it does happen tomorrow to close the week out, I believe that it will happen before the markets open. So there are some of those indicators. Now, I will tell you that this is not a play that you're going to want to stay in through earnings. So hopefully we get that FDA approval before earnings because the price to sales is just crazy. And if you're looking at fundamentals, in my opinion, this is the year of fundamentals. So I just want to make sure you think about that, but ultimately be sure to make that decision on your own, whether you hold or sell and at what point and what time. So you're going to see articles that are going to be enticing. It's going to make you think that this is going to be a long-term hold and we've got new purchases, and maybe it does. Maybe I could be completely wrong, but I think there's going to be a period where this is going to need to settle down after FDA approval and that they are going to need time because of Omicron, because of COVID that happened. Previously, when COVID happened, it really impacted sales. I believe it's impacted sales for Q4. I think you're going to see those results in this earnings that's coming up. So as far as Temprex is concerned, they still have the same price target around $5, are showing upside of 65.5 6%. And I believe we'll get there with FDA approval. But this is supposed to be a 12-month price target, and they are behind, in my opinion, about 3 months where they should be. So this is a 12-month price target that needs to be adjusted. I wouldn't be surprised if analysts came back and downgraded this share price. Now, that shouldn't make you worried. That should just make sense to you or not make sense to you. So feel free to disagree or agree with that. Now, volume, we can see the volume typically is around this normal state right here, and it ran up, I would say, in the mornings between 9:30 and 12 o'clock. It got about 10 million volume and then really trailed off the rest of the day. So I will tell you to keep that in mind. When you see this run up, I would expect it to trade around 120 million. So if we go and look at the last week, this was your 50% gain. And you could see, if we zoom in, and this is in the 5-minute chart, when you're looking to get out of your position and you want to take some off the table, I would look at the 5-minute chart. You could see we had the run up, and then there was about a 30-minute period that it started about a little after 11, lasted till about 11:30, little after 11:30. 30-minute period right here where it got up to about 295 and met some resistance and then broke out. And this is where we started to really get excited. And then some people took some off the table. This met some resistance. You could see in the 5-minute chart, that's when these red candles started. It came back, retested $3, and then came back and actually made support out of this resistance. So right here, this was the previous resistance right here. It started to make support towards the end of the day and then ran up after hours. So we'll have to see how this turns out tomorrow, but right now it looks bullish. But we do have those macroeconomic indicators. Now, I think if we get FDA approval, this is off to the races, and congratulations for holding this long. Every time I put together one of these videos, I'm always looking for opportunities to add value for everyone that takes the time to watch them, and I want to tell you about two things. Number one, we've got an absolutely free Discord. We've got an incredible group of people in there. It's real-time information. The link to that is going to be in the comments and in the description on this video. The second thing is the Patreon. Not everything I do makes it to video, so be sure to check out the Patreon. For example, I'm talking about the metaverse plays, the top 10. I talked about a biotech stock this morning. So one last example of something I posted last week, January 27th, Snap at $28 or lower. Bottom might be in and tested Snapper News content deals. This is an example of the type of information that I give to the Patreon members so they can have options to make their own decisions. Now, I can't promise a 60% gain on everything I send out in a week's period, but I am looking for them.